welcome back. Oh, such a pleasure to see you. Please take a seat, or if you would prefer to lay down, completely okay. Alright, and before we begin, let's get ourselves present, shall we? So, take a moment, bring your focus to me, and bring your focus back to you, and check in with your body. Notice the sensations of the room around us. Notice any sounds you may hear. Notice the sensation of where your body is touching things. Notice where your body is touching a cushion. Notice the sensation of your toes, if they're in socks or if your toes are exposed to the air. Notice those sensations. Notice your level of anxiety and relaxation. So let's focus on the positive. On a scale of 1 to 10, how relaxed are you right now? And you can't say 7. Okay. And would you like to be more relaxed? Okay. Me too. How about this? On the count of 3, you and I will take a breath. And after that breath, we are going to be twice as relaxed as we are right now. You ready? Begin. Twice as relaxed. And what I find funny about that little game is even though I made it up, it still worked. I feel twice as relaxed as I did just a moment ago. I hope you do too. So just checking in. Notice any conversations you may be having in your head right now. No judgment, just notice any unresolved conversations, any unresolved arguments or fights you may have gotten in with a colleague, friend, coworker, boss, significant other. Just notice. Don't try to stop it. Nothing's bad and wrong. Notice it. Just notice it, and if you can, see if you can take a step back inside your mind, as if there's an observer over here who can just casually step out and just observe the inner workings of your mind. Yeah. And when you're ready, just go ahead and nod at me when you feel like you're present right here and right now. breathe. Notice conversations, notice the breath. Notice your body. Are you holding any tension in your shoulders? You can let that go. Is there any tension in your neck area, jaw? Yeah, let that go. Very nice, very nice. Are we ready? Only when you are. Take your time. Okay. So, I wanted to ask you about your most important relationship right now. What would you say that is? With who? Okay. All right. And how do you feel that relationship is going? Let's rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, and it can't be a 7. Okay. And where do you think that relationship could improve? Okay. Well, all relationships are generally more within our control than we care to admit. Yeah. The difficulty is giving up the idea that we have control over other people's feelings. Believe me, that's a very hard one to give up. Even I still struggle with that one. Yeah, the illusion is very, very strong. I get it. So, giving up that you are making other people feel a certain way. Yeah. Yeah, we really cling to that one, don't we? Yeah. I made so-and-so happy. I made so-and-so upset. I made so-and-so get jealous. I made so-and-so be joyful. Yeah. Whatever the story about what we're doing is, I invite you to consider the possibility that we have way less control over people's joy or happiness than we care to admit. I'll use an example from my own life to try to illustrate. Okay. So, I want a certain type of relationship with my partner and our families, right? The famous in-law relationships. And it's very real. I very much want everything kumbaya. Yeah, I do. It's true. And I'm going to tell you a shocking bit of information. sometimes my partner and my parents don't always get along. It's crazy, I know. Wait, the in-laws don't always get along. I know. But I've spent a fair bit of the first several years of our marriage trying to control, manage, and direct that relationship, trying to make everybody happy and get along, right? I did. And if I'm going to be honest, I was partly successful. I managed to patch up a few fights. I managed to coach some conversations that were very powerful and positive. And this gave me the illusion of power and influence. I'm not saying I didn't have any. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, ultimately, is that the relationship between my spouse and my parents is actually really between them. And what I like to do, I don't know about you, but what I like to do is I like to be a middleman. I'm not sure if I'm doing this intentionally, but I enjoy pretending that I can cause harmony and unity. Now again, I'm not saying I'm not a positive influence. However, what I've had to learn and do recently is let go of my own desire to control, manage, and direct feelings, which, believe me, I find difficult. I really get off on the power trip that I am so helpful and I'm so good at what I do that I can cause unity, connection, communication, love, intimacy. And I would invite you to join me on this journey of letting that go. Yeah. It's not my job to manage my spouse's relationship with my in-laws. Do I want them to get along? Yes. Have we shared amazing times and adventures and vacations together? Yes. Is it okay that it's not always kumbaya? Yes. My hesitation there, of course, is because part of me says, no, that's not okay. This is not okay. I gotta fix this right now. And the reality is, if my parents would like a relationship with my spouse, they can. They can. It's not my job as the son to make that happen. Does that make sense? So, for you, I would ask, are there any relationships that you are trying to control, manage, and direct? Just observe. Oh. Hmm. Well, how's that working out? Not that great, is it? Yeah, we'll have moments of what I would say are like, perceived victories. But ultimately, no, no. Yeah, and have you noticed that the more we try to control, manage, and direct, the less we seem to actually be controlling, managing, and directing. Yeah. It's a tough thing about relationships. It's very difficult to give up the feeling of power and control, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Believe me, I get it. Yeah. Well, it's a way of ourselves coping with our own anxieties, coping with our own lack of control in our own life, right? It's like so much of what we try to do is make sense of a tumultuous and chaotic world, you know? We're trying to make sense out of irrational behavior, right? And there's tons of irrational behavior all around us all the time, and it doesn't really make sense, right? And, well, I was pondering this. I've been pondering this for a couple days and even weeks, I suppose. You know, you've heard the adage that everything happens for a reason, right? Well, I don't know if that's true or not, honestly. My rational brain says, I don't know. But here's the thing. I choose to believe that because I find it useful. You know, I find it useful to view my reality through a lens of it happened for a reason. Because what, for me, that is, it's just empowering, right? Because otherwise I'm the victim of life, right? Nothing happened for a reason. Things just happen to me, and they're just random, and I'm just being pelted by the randomness of life in the universe, right? That may be true. I honestly don't know. But I choose to believe that it happened for a reason. That way, I have some power over it. Even if it was out of my control, it allows me the perspective of saying, well, right now, that does not seem awesome. But I don't know the future, and I'm going to choose to take it as a lesson and move forward. And I'm reminded of the classic Chinese fable of the wise farmer and his foolish neighbor. You know, one day there was a wise farmer, and one day his horses escaped, his horses. The son left the pen open and all the horses escaped. Well, the next day, the foolish neighbor comes over and says, oh my gosh, all your horses are gone. What horrible, horrible luck. That's terrible. And the wise farmer says, well, who's to say what's good or bad? And the neighbor leaves. Well, the next day, the horses, they came back. But they met other horses out on the fields, and he had doubled the size of his herd. And the foolish neighbor comes over and he says, oh my gosh, look at you, look at your great fortune. I mean, look how lucky you are. You doubled the size of your herd. That's incredible. And the wise farmer smiles and says, well, who's to say what's good or bad? Well, the next day, the farmer's son is trying to break in one of the new horses, gets bucked off, breaks his leg. Farmer comes over. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe how unlucky your poor son. Farmer, who's to say what's good or bad? Well, the following day, the military comes by to conscribe soldiers, but they can't take the son because he's got a broken leg. And the neighbor comes over and says, oh my gosh, look how lucky you are. Yada, yada, yada. Okay? So, the thing is that we choose to look at life in a way. Both perspectives are correct. The farmer who's saying, who's to say what's good or bad? He's choosing to accept life as it comes and assume there's some lesson or value here. Whereas the neighbor is always at the whim. He's always ping-ponging. This is great. That's terrible. This is great. That's terrible. That's great. That's terrible. Ping-ponging. Right? And they're both right. One simply occurs to me as being much more powerful. Yeah, as a way to be. So, over the next coming weeks, I invite you to take on that it's not your job to control, manage, and direct the relationships around you, but to let people be, and to let yourself be open and vulnerable to love, praise, affection, kindness, and caring, just like you give out to others. Okay? Alright. Well, it's always wonderful to see you, and I look forward very much to our next visit. And if something important comes up, remember, I'm a short